ॐ स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। Guru Purnima. It is a great occasion in Hinduism. It surpasses all festivals because it is a path which the jiva is going to follow as a planned by nature and designed by divine. Guru comes into picture when the soul is ripe, passed through all the experience of the life with the ego of doership and enjoyership, kartritva, bhoktritva. When this ego feels saturated enough, let me go. Nothing is here in satisfying, no end to satisfying the desires, no end to satisfying the ego. So the soul, because of satiation, it turns to the divine, but it doesn't find the path. But nature, according to its plan, that every jiva must return to the source, supplies a jiva who has finished its course, entered into the absolute and returned back to hold the hand of the toiling jiva to lead to the transcendental realm. The function of Guru is to turn the jiva from the worldly life to the life divine. In this course, what obstructs Guru to take immediate steps to arrange for his escalation is the tamas with which the jiva sits and holds on to the world. One is the natural force of tamas, other is the acquired tendencies, the vasanas, which constantly feed the ego to desire for things of the world. After Guru comes into the life also, to utilize him properly and to evolve is very difficult because each person is under the momentum of the past. He has acquired such tendencies that it is difficult for him to. The position of the Guru will be equally serious. It is like Shiva, when Hala Hala came, he swallows it. Nobody wants to take it. Nobody wants to take. All when it was churned, when Hala Hala came, nobody is there. Shiva comes forward. Otherwise, world will be destroyed. He swallows it. But Parvati, he will die, so holds the throat doesn't allow it to go down. So it will be in the throat. He cannot swallow, he cannot spit out. When disciples go astray or in not tune with the divine and God, then Guru finds the same. Cannot tell, cannot swallow. He is in the Trishanku state of only thing he can do is go on praying, doing japa for the sake of disciple. This is the responsibility of Guru. On the other side, there is responsibility of Jiva or the Shishya also. Guru has to use many weapons also. Bhajnananji used to tell us, he has to cut some branches, prune certain twigs. It is most painful for both Guru and Shishya. And the family which accommodates him, the Shishya, they also suffer a lot. The only thing this disciple has to do is to tune to the Guru, tune to the divine and tune to the nature. Sitar is there. Sitar has 8 strings on the top, 11 strings at the bottom. Tune it to the particular pitch. Exactly another sitar, tune to the same pitch, then you will see, if I keep that sitar in some other room, then you will see, if whichever string I strike, the same string in the other room, that sitar will vibrate. 8 strings, 11 strings below, 19 strings, whichever string I strike, the corresponding string in the sitar will, because they are tuned to the same pitch. We have to tune as a disciple to the divine. If we learn many things, we study, we gain knowledge, we think a lot, go on cogitating over things, and all that we do, we talk, we discuss spiritual things, nothing will be of avail till you tune yourself to the divine. Internally you must be tuned to the divine. Each scriptures, each word of the saint will awaken you. Otherwise, we'll be missing that awakening. It will be information, read, information, get. There won't be transformation. If you want transformation, we have to tune to the divine. That tuning is most important part that we have to understand. Just take the 8 strings there. Each string is tuned to the other. Like that, we have to tune to the divine, tune to the nature around. Nature is taking care of us entirely. From birth, when we are in the womb, it is she who grew us up. She gave the birth. Then she developed us. Even today, the food that is given to me, I eat, digestion, everything is taken care by the nature. I can't do anything in this body. That nature, when I am tuned, the nature wants to lead me to the divine. So when I accept the nature in the tuning, I will be setting myself by tuning to the nature in that path in which the nature wants to take me. There won't be any suffering. It's a peaceful, joyful journey to the absolute sadhana. If you are not tuned to the nature, there will be lot of struggle. Swami Yatishwaranandji Maharaj is Brahmanandaji's disciple. He says, I was finding it very difficult, these spiritual practices in the early stages. I went and told to my Guru, I am finding it difficult, I may not be able to do sadhana. Brahmanandaji Maharaj said, struggle, struggle. Nothing will come out of you are taking my instructions and living your life. You have to struggle yourself. The instruction of Guru will be not utilized, it will not fructify if we are not able to tune ourselves to the Guru and utilize that properly. That struggle must be there. What is the struggle? Struggle to reach the divine. It is longing for the divine deep inside. When will I see you? When will I meet you? Where are you? This innermost longing is there. Similarly, Guru tuning, whatever instruction, once you tune to the Guru, knowledge starts flowing in. It is like logging yourself to a particular channel. It starts downloading. This downloading is most important part. Knowledge comes, instructions, intuition comes. Intuitively, what I have to do, what I should not do. It comes. How much time can I take? In Buddha's life, there was one Mahakashyapa. His story, what I have heard, is different from what we usually see in the films or somewhere. I don't know. But the story goes like this. Seeing Buddha conquering and going, all the people, converting many people to Buddhism, hundreds and thousands of people are taking to the monastic life. Bhikkhus and bhikkhunis they are becoming. They wanted to defend their old traditions, protect them, and all. Some people were against, some people were fighting against it. Mahakashyapa was a great scholar, and almost all Hindu scriptures he knew with authority, and he wanted to defeat Buddha in arguments. Buddha is enlightened. A person may be any amount of intelligence he may have, but if enlightenment is not there, we don't have anything. We are as more darkness we will be spreading in the world than light. Thakur says one temple, dilapidated temple was there. A person, mad boy, goes and starts blowing conch. People will think, alright, temple has started again. They come running and then find this mad boy is doing. Like that, we go on making people get confused. So this person goes to him, Buddha, and says, I want to discuss with you. I want to do Vada. I want Vada Bhiksha. Buddha says, you see, I am in a village. Thousands of people are coming from morning till night. I have to solve their problems. Why don't you wait for few days? I'll be leaving this village within a few days. We'll be going through a forest. There we can peacefully sit without anybody's problem. We can discuss. He says, if you are defeated, you have to follow me. If I am defeated, I'll follow you. He says, all right, that will do. I have no problem. Then he used to come and watch him. 7 days time was there. Every day he will take bath and run, coming and see what the Buddha will do for these people. People used to come discuss it. He would sit in a corner and just go on watching him. After some time, as he was watching, he was undergoing the internal transformation. Then when the time came, they have to leave. They started going from the village. In between in the forest, Buddha sits in a place and calls him. Come, we will do the Vada Vivada. What you have to present, you present. I want. He immediately says, no. I had read scriptures. I had read Vedas. I had read many things. I am authority on the Shad Darshanas. But what I had known through books, which walked actually I am seeing through my eyes. This is practical demonstration of the Vedas. What more shall I argue with you? I want to become a bhikkhu. These 7 days of watching had tuned him to that extent that he was just wondering and totally one with the Guru internally. He used to follow and he'll be in his kutia. Suddenly he will call someone, see Buddha is feeling hot, you go and fan him. When Buddha used to feel hot, he used to feel hot. When Buddha used to feel hungry, he'll be talking to people. People also will be talking. They forget to give him food. He will feel hungry. He will run and go and give him food. Or ask someone to go and fetch some food for him. Like that. When Buddha gets fever, he too will get fever. It so happens he'll be going with him. At one place, some people come and ask Buddha, you come to our house for food. Buddha says yes. Next, after 3 days, I am arranging for all the bhikkhus in my home. He says yes. Will you come? Yes, I will come. Then when that person is going, this Mahakashyap calls him and says, he will not come. People will wonder. Those people, how do you say Buddha is telling me he will come and you are telling me he will not come? Yes, he cannot come, he will not come. Again they go back to Buddha. Will you not come? He says, yes, I will come. What is the problem? They again go back. Again he says, he will not come. Then he will go back to Buddha and says, he is telling he will not come. No, you go. You need not worry for his words. Then while going he will disclose him. Buddha may not be. You may not see Buddha again. And one day before, where he had planned to go, Buddha leaves his body. Buddha himself did not disclose that he won't be in the body, but he is in tune with Guru and he knows the date and the time of death. And when the Buddha leaves the body, Mahakashyapa also had the same moment he leaves the body. Same thing we see in the Yatishwaranandaji Maharaj disciples. Almost all disciples knew Maharaj has left body. And one disciple, she goes to Benares, sits there after Maharaj's leaving body, and till she ends her life, she'll be sitting there, and then she leaves. This is tuning with the Guru. To what extent we can tune? What is he expecting me to do? If we understand what is he expecting to do, it is sufficient. The mind, senses, body, everything will take care. We cannot compare love of Guru and sacrifice to anything in this world, anybody's love. There is no comparison. The pains the Guru takes, even to make one person renounce and come and live in a monastery, Guru has to either take lot of his sins or has to put lot of punya into him that he has earned. Then only that jiva awakes to just to come and sacrifice life at the feet of God. That is the value of, and Guru does that. He takes upon himself all the pains and sufferings. Yes, I will do, because karma cannot be destroyed. Either Guru has to take it or. This is the part of the Guru. And the jiva has to remain tuned for fast progress to the divine, to the nature, to Guru and to the Ishtadevata. Then we will see that you are just standing and aspiring, and unknown force is lifting you. You are escalated. You fly into the reality. This is Guru Purnima. Let us take the vow to live a life of total dedication, total sacrifice, giving ourselves. Let us change our life totally. That's why the Guru Purnimas are kept time and again to renew our disciplehood, to renew our Guruhood, to keep the tradition of Guru Shishya Parampara flowing through the generations to generation. And on this great occasion, I pray for all of you, and that all of you must get enlightenment in this life. Struggle, strive to attain that. Give up all your ego, give up your totally, what all defects you think it is there in you, throw it away. It may be painful for you to detach yourself from those things, but you have to do it. And that capacity to do also nature has kept within you. So it won't be difficult as we think. What we need is will to do. And that will is supported by the divine, by the nature and by the Guru to go forward. Huh? Yes. My lots of love and blessings to you all. And more than any festival, I consider this occasion as the most sacred and the holiest occasion where we worship our Gurus. Because it is Rishi Munis, what they have earned through lives and lives, and made that available to us. We have by no means we can repay this debt except by realizing God. Even that, by realizing God also, we won't be able to repay the debt. We will be giving this to the next generation. A labor went away from the ashrama to some other place for work. And when he came and told, Swamiji, ನನಗೆ ಬೇರೆ ಕಡೆ ಕರೀತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಇಲ್ಲಿಂದು ನೀರಿನ ಋಣ ಮುಗೀತು ಅಂತ ಕಾಣತ್ತೆ, ಹೋಗ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದಾಗ, ಅರೆ ಗುರುವಿನ ಋಣ, ಆಶ್ರಮದ ಋಣ ತೀರ್ಸಕ್ಕಾಗತ್ತಪ್ಪ. ಯಾವ ಋಣ ಬೇಕಾದರೂ ತೀರಿಸ್ಬೋದು, ತಾಯಿ ಜನ್ಮ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಋಣ ತೀರ್ಸಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. ಆಶ್ರಮ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಆಶ್ರಯ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಎಲ್ಲ ರೀತಿಯಿಂದ ಯು ಆರ್ ಪ್ರೊಟೆಕ್ಟೆಡ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಆಲ್ ದಿ ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್. ಆ ಋಣ ತೀರ್ಸೋಕ್ಕಾಗತ್ತಾ? ಭಗವಂತನ ಚರಣದಲ್ಲಿ ಜೀವನ ಕಳೆಯುವಂಥ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. ವಿ ಕೆನಾಟ್ ರೀಪೇ ದಿ ಡೆಟ್ ಬೈ ಎನಿ ಮೀನ್ಸ್, ವಿ ಕೆನಾಟ್ ರೀಪೇ. ಸೊ ಬೈ ರಿಯಲೈಸಿಂಗ್ ಗಾಡ್, we will be making others enter into the debt that they cannot repay. They will, all the debts will be resolved by the God once they realize God. So strive sincerely to realize God in this life. This is the great message we have got from Thakur Mother Swamiji. They have come, they are the Vishwa Gurus now for the present yuga, not only present yuga, for the kalpa. We have to follow him. Wish you all the best, my lots of loves and blessings. Om Tachayyoravranemahe Gatun Yajnaya Gatun Yajnapataye Daivi Swastirastu Naha स्वस्तिर्मानुषेभ्यः ऊर्ध्वञ्चिगातु भेषजं शन्नो अस्तु द्विपदे शञ्चतुष्पदे. ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति.